And then he ended this irrational left-wing scare tactic that had kept the XL pipeline from making America great again. It's a reality now.
They're certainly thinking that this is terrible timing, even if they're not saying that, with Nebraska officials due to decide on Monday, Sandra, whether to approve the Keystone XL pipeline expansion. So the timing is awful, but the company that owns the pipeline, TransCanada, is essentially saying this is not that big a deal. They tweeted a picture, an aerial photograph of the leak area, and they said in a statement that the affected section, quote, was completely isolated within 15 minutes and emergency response procedures were activated. The safety of the public and environment are our top priorities. But this morning, Sandra, the pipeline remains shut down, and the investigation into exactly how those 5,000 barrels of oil leaked is ongoing. We hope to get some answers in the next few days, and they certainly hope to be able to give some answers, Sandra.
And we know, Jonathan, the environmentalists, they've heavily opposed this pipeline from go. What are they saying?
Well, they are essentially saying, we told you so. The environmentalists have fought this expansion for quite some time. And you might remember back in 2013, there were huge protests in D.C. President Obama at the time rejected the expansion plan. President Trump reversed that rejection just in March and said it can go ahead. But the environmentalists are saying that this leak just shows the dangers they've always talked about. Kelly Martin of the Sierra Club told the Associated Press, quote, "We've always said it's not a question of whether a pipeline will spill, but when. And today, TransCanada is making our case for us." So we're due to find out on Monday, Sandra, whether those officials in Nebraska think that this is too badly timed and they cannot go ahead with the approval. But we'll get that decision, we expect, on Monday.
All right, we'll see where this goes. Jonathan Hunt, thank you.
President Trump promised to protect our religious freedom. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard that Jerusalem, where the King of Kings where our soon-coming king is going to return back to Jerusalem, it's because of President Trump declared Jerusalem to be the capital of Israel.
Just literally in the last 3 or 4 minutes, a lot of the clashes that we've seen here have just sort of stopped. You can still see a wall of tear gas behind me. There have been clashes here in Ramallah and other parts of the Palestinian West Bank for the last 4 or 5 hours between Israeli security forces and Palestinian demonstrators taking to the streets yet again for the 3rd day in a row after President Trump's controversial decision to recognize formally that Jerusalem is Israel's capital. That decision has angered many Palestinians, many Muslims and Arabs across the entire region, and also many U.S. allies in Europe and other places who are calling for an emergency UN meeting later today to discuss this issue. This is an issue that a lot of people said would lead to violence. We've seen violence today in Bethlehem. We've seen violence in Ramallah. We didn't see really much in the last day or even today in Jerusalem. That was fairly quiet. Afternoon prayers at Al-Aqsa went off pretty much without a hitch. But here in Bethlehem, in Ramallah, Hebron, other places in the Palestinian areas, we have seen significant clashes. The question now, Sandra, is really, does this sustain itself? Does it continue tomorrow? Does it go into the next week or even next month? That is still very much an open question, Sandra.
And Connor, will this impact the visit of Vice President Mike Pence to the region, which includes Bethlehem, where you are standing right now?
Yeah, he's literally going to drive down this road behind me if he comes here. The Palestinian Authority are still saying that he will come here. There have been some people in the Palestinian Authority who say he's not welcomed, but officially the trip is still on. But obviously security will be a big issue. Whether or not the Palestinians want to meet with him will be a big issue. Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, has basically said that the U.S. with this decision is no longer the broker of peace here. So there are some questions about whether or not the Palestinian leadership will want to meet with Vice President Pence. But if he does, the area that we're standing now, where we've seen clashes pretty much all day, all afternoon for the last 2 days. This is the area that Mike Pence is going to have to drive through. Security will be a big issue, as will the willingness on the PA to meet with him.